How's it going, Burnouts? We're here. We're going to be covering these last two games that the Heat played. Went 1-1 on this back-to-back in which we were away, and then we traveled home to play the Magic, and then we left to go play the Bulls on a back-to-back. So it was this weird schedule of a lot of travel in a short time frame. Um, we did go 1-1, which typically on a back-to-back you're not mad about. You're pretty happy about, especially when it includes travel. But I think all Heat fans would probably have felt better had we won the first game of this back-to-back. Not just because typically that's the game you win, but also because it was against the Magic, who are now 4-0 against the Heat on the season. And the second game was against the Bulls, who we're going to be playing two more times in the next 2 days. So if we could trade, all things considered, I would have made that swap. So we'll be talking about those two games. We'll also, of course, be talking about the thing that's hanging over all of this, over every Heat fan's head, is the Giannis of it all. Whether or not he will be traded by the deadline. Is he going to get traded to the Heat? Is he going to get traded elsewhere? Is our package enough? Who's going out in this trade? How many teams are going to be involved? There's a lot that's going into it, of course. And then there's also the rumors of if the Heat can't land Giannis, maybe we circle back to Jaw. So we're going to get into all that stuff. We'll be talking about some other league-wide topics. The Cavaliers floor, who has claimed another victim, this time one of more notoriety, Luka Doncic, rather than just Drew Smith. And maybe they'll actually be pushed to do something now. And then a few other things, Wemby, the Knicks, and Khan versus Cooper, these two rookies just duking it out. We'll be talking about all that, as well as previewing kind of the next two games against the Bulls. Not sure how much there is really to talk about that when it's against the same team over and over again, but just make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that and more. We're going to get into all that after this. Burnouts. We went 1-1. The Heat did on this back-to-back, on this homestand that then turned into an away game against the Bulls, which we're gonna play them two more times. Whatever. It's just the first game was against the Magic, and I mean, it really comes down to a terrible, the turdiest of turd quarters, in which the Heat were outscored 40-20. It was the highest scoring third quarter allowed by the Heat all year, and it was embarrassing. And even the first quarter, really, it was a 27-34 first quarter, but we hit 2 threes at the end there, one like right at the end. And had it not been for those, this first quarter would have also looked far worse. The Magic went on a huge run that we had to claw back from. Uh, the Magic starters had 106 points, where the Heat starters had 69. That's counting Cass as a starter who did play less minutes overall than Jaime. So if we swapped in Jaime, pretended he was a starter, Heat starters scored 80. That's still 26 less than the Magic starters. Not enough. I mean, it was a splattering of things. There was miscommunication on D constantly. Powell kept getting put on switches in which it was Paolo or someone bigger on him, and it would force our whole team to scramble. And there was breakdowns that the Magic were abusing in these scrambles where, we rightfully so had to protect Powell, who was getting bullied by a much bigger player who can score from the mid range and who can back him down pretty easily. But even besides that, there was just so many transition buckets for the Magic, and it felt like they were just getting buckets way too easy against the Heat. It was embarrassing, the performance that we put on for most of this game. We had 18 turnovers in which the Magic scored 24 points off of. And I always talk about when we win by committee, this was a loss by committee. Everyone was contributing to this loss. There was multiple turnovers from Jaime, from Wiggins, from Powell, from Bam. It was just ugly in the way that we were handling the ball, and the Magic, who play a tough defense, were just abusing us. Um, it was, yeah, man. Every time it felt like we went on a run, the Magic would answer back with a bigger run. Aside from the second quarter, really. The second quarter, if we're talking bright spots, that's the only one. 41 for 25, or rather, the Heat scored 41 points. Magic only scored 25 in the second quarter. This was led by a career night from Simone Fontecchio. He had a career high 6 threes. Surprising, honestly, to see that he had a career high of 6. I would have assumed more for Simone, but he went 6 of 9 from the field. Had a season high 23 points. I think 17 of them were in the first half, like 16 in the second quarter, something like that. He stole the show, honestly, in the second quarter. He had some deep bombs. He drew fouls driving to the rim. He had a really nice block, helped defense. He banked a 3 off like a buzzer beater with the shot clock. He had this nice hit ahead pass, which, I mean, it's not going on like the Simone Fontecchio career highlights. I don't know who's making Simone Fontecchio for your highlights, to be clear, but if maybe someone in Italy is making that package. But regardless, it was a pretty tight hit-ahead pass through two defenders that got to Jaquez, and it capped off a 15-4 run in which the Heat then took the lead, 42-41. Great moment. Uh, Bam did show some aggression in this game. 21 points, 4 of 7 from 3. He had some nice drives baseline that either led to buckets or that led to someone getting an open shot, right? Ware only had like 6 or so minutes in this game, but they felt productive. I liked what we saw. Somewhat surprised we didn't see more from him. He had this nice putback dunk with this like hop step to the rim. I like just that he was putting the ball on the ground a bit more in this game and seeing some of that for the few minutes we had. Uh, I will say a lot of Heat fans are upset that they're not seeing more Ware minutes, and I think ultimately it comes down to Spo has given up on the Bam Ware combo, at least for now, because it hadn't worked all season. It theoretically should work. It kind of makes sense in all our heads that it should work because they can both space the floor. They're both shot blockers, yada yada. But um, Bam seems to play better, much better on offense when he's mismatched against a 5, because if they're bigger and slower, he can usually kind of work his way to the rim with speed and finesse. And if they are, a little bit on the scrawnier, more slender side, then he can bully them a bit. Which wasn't necessarily the case in this game because Jonathan Isaac is just a really good defender. His issue in his career has mostly been health. But he had some nice defense possessions in general, but some on Bam as well. And then the fourth quarter, I mean, we did fight back from that third quarter, but it had a good start. It had an ugly middle. And then it felt like we really ramped up the defensive intensity towards the end there and almost got back in the game. We did get really close, but it just wasn't enough. And those things frustrate you because I like to see the defensive intensity. I love to see that we can claw back and maybe get a win here, but it's like, why weren't you guys playing with the same intensity for more of the game, for longer? And that's the frustrating part as a fan, especially knowing, and the broadcast said this, that the Heat have only won one game in which they enter the fourth with a deficit. So it's like you really got to make sure you put away the game in the first half, I guess, with the Heat, because we have these third quarters, and if we don't keep a lead after the third quarter, then we lose in the fourth. So just embarrassing, the performance really against the Magic, the South Florida rivals, if we can even really say that, because they've been punking us. They're 4-0 against the Heat now. We will play a fifth game because of silly NBA Cup stuff, but um, Norm had 22 points in this game, but some of those were really late when the game already felt out of hand. He was getting torched on defense, and yeah, it wasn't the best Norm game. I do see some people kind of turning on Norm already, and I think people need to chill. I'm not going to say Norm is the best player on the Heat. I'm not going to say that he's untradeable, but he's been a big reason for a lot of the wins that the Heat have had. So it's easy when we have some bad games in which he gets a little bullied on defense or his shot's not falling to kind of be upset with him, but it's a little bit too flaky for my taste. I'm appreciative of the wins that we've gotten from Norm, from his performances in our in throughout this season. Jaime had some good moments. He was one of the only people with a positive plus minus, aside from Simone, and that's despite the four turnovers. But he had 13 points. He was bullying smaller guards, when he had the opportunity to, but some of the shots were still rimming out. Then on the Magic side, I mean, first and foremost, shout out to Anthony Black with 26 points and just running up the whole scoreboard. He had 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks, and it showed. His presence was felt. And he had this beautiful, I forget if it was in the third or the fourth, like one-on-one play against Jovic, in which he hit this like dribble, like pump, crossover, spin move, pull back 3. Jovic was completely lost. It was gone, and it was disgusting. He switched that 3 in. Um, Desmond Bane seems to continue to be a Heat killer. Maybe he was worth 4 picks. 10 of 16 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. Defense was felt, 5 assists, 2 steals. And then Paolo, I mean, I feel good for him, I guess, because I've talked on this pod about, my take, honestly, of him and Wagner maybe not being the best fit together, which this doesn't change my opinion on that. Wagner didn't play, or Franz Wagner didn't play. And how the team has middled with Franz out and only Paolo in. But part of that, I think, was because Jalen Suggs was out. Jalen Suggs was in this game, and it made a difference. Paolo was 11 of 23 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. He had 12 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, 4 assists, a steal, a block. And he was just making the right plays constantly. If he had someone smaller on him, he'd back him down. If we were playing zone, he'd, catch the ball at the nail and make the right read. He was breaking apart the zone, and he was scoring at will. It was, yeah, just a good game from Paulo. Really, really nice. He had this like really strong dunk off a steal on us that kind of, I felt like it demoralized the Heat there. Uh, Bottom line though, the Heat lost this game in the third quarter. We had brief moments of competitiveness where we'd go on runs, but that Magic always answered with better runs. And they're obviously a bad fit for us. Their size mismatch is obvious, but the transition defense really is what was, I think, the most upsetting if you're a Heat fan. They were getting too many easy buckets, too many. But we'll move on. We will be playing the Magic again later on in the season, but not today and not soon. We are going to be playing, or we did play the Bulls, the Heat did, and they will be playing them again very soon. In this game, in which second night of a back-to-back with travel, we apparently arrived pretty late, like I think 3 in the morning in Chicago to play at 7:30. It was off of a no hero, no Davion for us either. They were also on a back-to-back, I will say. So that's, it evened things out a little bit. And we survived what was kind of a nail biter in Chicago, which, it's a back-to-back. So things can get a little sloppy. We started off scorching in that first quarter, but it ended 34-31, had some sloppy turnovers. Again, the transition defense, there was a lot of lapses there where they were just finding their way to the rim. Uh, the defense did tighten up in the second quarter where we had a 28-20 advantage and built a lead despite a rocky finish to that second quarter. It was better than prior, than the first, I think. We didn't score as much, but it did feel like a stronger game or a stronger quarter for the Heat there. And then, yeah, that was how the first half kind of showed there. When it came to the second half of this game in the third quarter, I'm sorry, let me organize my notes here. I'm looking at players and not at quarters. In the third quarter, we still managed to keep a lead. I was ready to say that this was going to be a third quarter. However, it turned out to not be. Bam was doing pretty great on Vucevic. Vuce had a terrible game. Kel'el Ware got 12 minutes, which is 6 more than the game before. And he was playing pretty great too. He had 12 points, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. He hit back-to-back threes, including one in transition where he just stepped right into it. He had this nice sky-high block on Herter that they called a goaltend. Spo challenged it. It was successful. I just really liked what I saw from him in this game. Again, he showed that effort that I think Spo is looking for from him. And it's we just need that consistently. We really just want consistency from Ware. Bam, though, really felt like he had Vucevic out of sorts. He had 20 points, 12 rebounds, 2 of 8 from 3, so not his best shooting game, but Vooch didn't know how to guard him and also didn't seem like he could get anything going against Bam. He had multiple highlight-worthy plays, Bam did. He caught 3 lobs in this game, one of them in particular off of Drew, pretty poor pass in transition, but Bam was able to catch it and make do. He kind of thrunked it. It was yeah, it was really, really good. Just fun game from Bam. The other 2 lobs were catches off of Jaime. I love seeing Bam lobs personally. They are uh, always fun to see our big man get easy buckets and to show off his athleticism because he can really jump pretty high and he can score through contact. He was drawing doubles this game, finding open shooters. He was just controlling the paint. It was awesome. Ware did also have a really nice lob. I've said before, Ware even said it, that Pella is his favorite person to catch lobs from, and this might have been my favorite Pella lob to Ware in this game, in which, it was just sky high for Ware, and I just really liked watching that and seeing Ware catch a lob from Pella. Some bench contributions as well. Jaime with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, multiple steals. Jaime had a great game, honestly, just a really, really good Jaime game in this one. And can't be upset at that. And then Drew Smith. Look, Heat fans, I know some of us aren't too happy with some of what we see from Drew Smith sometimes because his offensive game can be lacking. But in this game, in this game, he had 11 points. He had 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. He was 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from three. Man, yeah, he had a really, really good game. And this is on top of, look, I said it before. He's in the 100th percentile for steals at his position, for offensive rebounds at his position, off of field goals or free throws. He's at the 100th percentile for this. He's in the 86th percentile for blocks at his position. Per 36, he has the highest deflections in the league. Filtering for games by just a little bit. I filtered by like 6 games, players who played more than that. Caruso is next at the second highest deflections per game. He's also in the top 10 for charges drawn per 36. When you turn that into just totals, he's still pretty high, not per 36, but still, I mean, look, you gotta give credit where credit is due. The effort from Drew Smith is always showing, and he makes a lot of things happen, usually on defense, but this time it was on both ends of the floor. Uh, the final minute of this game was chaotic. It felt like the Heat were going to run away with it, and then things got really scary. Powell got stripped by Io one-on-one while trying to dribble out the clock with the Heat up 3. And then the Heat survived this sequence where Bam missed it. Wiggins got an offensive rebound. Then Pella stripped the guy who got the Wiggins miss. And then there was another Powell turnover. Thankfully, Powell redeemed himself kind of by hitting clutch free throws at the end. And then there was this brilliant, like, Spo all season has been cooking with these like last minute out of timeout plays. He had Bam spacing the floor far away, and Powell was working as like a decoy to get Pella a layup. And it was funny. You could tell Spo was happy because the play worked. Pella did get the layup, but was frustrated a little bit too because Pella didn't realize in the moment that his defender completely slipped on the floor. So he was wide open and there was like 4 seconds left on the clock. And Pella could have, rather than immediately go for the layup, kind of ran and just run out more clock. Either way, thankfully that didn't curse us, and it still worked. So it was a great play. I will say also, Kobe White, who I mentioned in the preview, who's been good for the Bulls, was good. He had a pretty poor shooting game, but it was us kind of. He took a lot of attempts, and we were definitely trying to stop him. And he did have 8 assists. He was still a positive in this game. And at the end of the game, he had a really open look to tie it from 3. I mean, it was going to be the clutchiest of clutch shots, but thankfully he missed. Some more role player notes here. Pella, I already talked about the lob to Ware, which was awesome, but just in general, in the clutch, he's so trustworthy. He had 15 points. Andrew Wiggins, kind of quiet game from him, 10 points, with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. He had 4 turnovers. Not a great Wiggs game by any means. And I feel like I feel like this happens often with him. He missed Ware for an opportunity in transition to either get him a lob or maybe just get him a dunk or like a nice play at the rim. Kind of wasn't looking for him. Kasparis had his moments, especially early in the game. But the foul trouble is being an issue with him. He had 4 fouls in 13 minutes. The intensity is good. He just needs to be more careful, I think. So not like a great win. I'm not celebrating the streets, but it was a win nonetheless on a road back-to-back. And we did have it under control most of the game before nearly collapsing. Thankfully, we did not collapse. We would be much more despondent today had the Heat lost these 2 games in a row. And then after this, the Heat play the Bulls again, twice in a row. We played them on Saturday and then on Sunday. This time, both of them at home. So very curious to see how this goes. This was a really close game on the away. We are getting some rest now, so maybe that'll be better. I would love if we could just close this out and win both. And then if this does happen and then we have to play the Bulls in the play-in, can we just say like we won already? Like this was the play-in? Because it would be hilarious if we win these like 3 games or 4 games in total against the Bulls and then lose to them in the play-in, which it would be sad and tragic, but also it would get us a higher pick, maybe, probably. So we'll see. I'm very curious if Kobe White is able to recover in these next 2 games and play better, like figure out different ways to score against the Heat. on the Bull side, I do want to say that I liked a lot of what I saw from Kevin Herter. I liked a lot of what I saw from Ao Dosunmu. I think he's really, really good. Big fan of him. Matas Buzelis had some moments. I think he had a really nice dunk at one point. He had a block too. Yeah, just honestly, they didn't play poorly against us. I liked some of what they saw. Dalen Terry did slip. There was like an issue at the beginning of the game that I'm like, is their court sweating again? Dalen Terry slipped on the ground and kind of messed up his ankle. I think he did end up having to get checked out of the game later on, like much later. But I feel like a few people slipped in that same area. Yeah, just odd stuff in terms of that. Um, and the Heat do, like, moving forward, the Heat have a pretty easy schedule, and that is including the Bulls. We have 19 games left against under 500 teams, and the Heat are currently 16-4 against under 500 teams, which would mean if we win at that same rate, that we'd win 15-ish of those 19 games. That means we have 14 games left against above 500 teams. We're currently 10 of 19 against above 500 teams. If we keep winning at that same rate, that projects to 4.8 wins. 15.2 plus 4.8, that's like 19, that's like 20 wins. And that puts us at the currently projected 7th seed right now. So that's where we're at. Obviously, a lot of that can change. We can break off a few games and win against under 500 teams more than we have in the past. We could maybe win some games against above 500 teams. Would love for that to happen. Didn't look to see how many of those are at home and how much that makes a difference, but we do have one of the easier schedules moving forward. Nonetheless, still projected at the 7th seed. Now, for around the league, first and foremost, the biggest thing for Heat fans here, and I'll take a sip of this water, is the Giannis trade. Is it going to happen before the deadline? In just a few days here, less than a week. I think we're all hoping yes, right? I think we're hoping, and it's to the Heat, of course. There's this weird balance where if this passes and we get to the offseason, this is from Bobby Marks, Giannis isn't extension eligible until likely January, which we've talked about. It's more beneficial for him to get traded now so he can be eligible for a supermax extension and sign it immediately with that team. So there is some type of urgency to get a deal done here within the next week. There's also the opposite side of this where from the Bucks, they've kind of, or maybe not they, but people have said that they might have more leverage in the summer where they would get more capital from some of these teams because more draft picks get unlocked, yada, yada. But there's a balance there because then we get whoever's trading for Giannis is getting him for less time. So it's like, who is really fighting for him? Who's trying to make this trade? How much more do they have available in the summer? And are they willing to trade that much more when they have him for possibly less time if they don't have a guarantee that he would resign there? He did say, however, that he would resign with the Heat if he were to be traded there. I also think that's part of it too. From my understanding, if he gets traded before the deadline, he's eligible for a supermax with the team he gets traded to. But if he gets traded in the summer, I don't think it makes a difference whether he resigns with the team he goes to or whether he leaves in free agency after 1 year and signs with another team. I don't know if there's a monetary difference there. It's definitely, if there is one, definitely nowhere near as much if Giannis were to get traded before the deadline, in which he can then sign that supermax extension. So he, even if he gets traded to a team he doesn't necessarily want, not at the top of his list, there's more reason for him to want to sign that extension no matter what if he gets traded before the deadline. So we will see. It seems like the Timberwolves are getting involved now as well. I'm very curious because I've seen the reports that the Timberwolves are getting involved, but I've yet to see what their trade package is. So very curious to see what they can do in terms of that. And look, as all Heat fans, we're all hoping we get Giannis, or there's some people who, for some reason, think that would be a bad trade. If there's a chance to get Giannis onto the Kumpo, you get him. I'm not saying it guarantees us a championship, but like, he's one of the best players in the NBA, and he's still in his early 30s. Yeah, you trade for Giannis. There's another report from Shams that if the Heat miss out on Giannis, they could decide to circle back with the Grizzlies on John Morant. So it looks like either way, before the trade deadline, the Heat are going to do something. It's just a matter of, is it going to be Giannis? And if not, where are we going? Who are we going for? And what for? What's the price, right? It doesn't look like there's a strong market for Ja. So hopefully if we do circle back to that, it's for cheap. But let's just all hold our breath. Let's all just keep waiting for the report. We have a few more days. We'll find out one way or another. Up next, Luka was injured By the Cavaliers as an organization, because they have this elevated floor in which by the baseline or by the sidelines, it drops, and he was stepping back after shooting a three, and he fell through and hurt his ankle. And there's a clip of him. You can hear him saying, "Who the fuck made this floor? God damn!" And this same thing happened to Drew Smith a year or two ago, in which he tore his ACL. Uh, and it's like Heat fans have talked about it. If this was a bigger player, like a more notoriety, or no, like more famous player, then I think they would have been a bigger outrage about it, because he tore his ACL on a contract year because of this stupid drop in the Cavaliers arena. But now that it happens to Luka Doncic, there's a report from Joe Vardon, that the NBA will reportedly meet with the Cavaliers to talk about changing their court after Luka Doncic injured his ankle on the elevated drop. And look, I will say I'm happy that they're going to make a change to it. I don't want any more players to get injured, but it's just funny how it works, right? It's like Drew Smith injures and tears his ACL. No one cares. Luka Doncic gets injured on it. We need to change it immediately. And I agree. So whatever. The fact that it took two players to get injured is ridiculous to me. The fact that it ever existed is ridiculous to me. So hopefully that gets changed soon prior to next season. I mean, I doubt they can do it before the season ends. Couple more things before we get out of here. Wemby, he's just not human, man. I saw this posted earlier today. He has, through 150 games in his career, more points than Kevin Durant, more three-pointers made than Steph Curry, and more block shots than Hakeem Olajuwon. It's just not real. And he had this quote recently where he said, "I'm trying to do things on the court that nobody does, so I have to work in a way that nobody does." And holy shit, man, the bars coming out of Wemby. He's like, he hits a lot of times when he's getting quoted. Some of the bars he has are great. I don't know if it's just like the French in him, and when it gets translated, it comes off way cooler than maybe it would sound normally. But yeah, just scary, man. It's scary what he can do. And I will say it's looked like he's getting bulkier, which I think is scary for everyone in the league, but also exciting if you're just a fan of watching Wemby play basketball. Last two things, one of them super short, but just I had to shout it out. Uh, on this play in which Josh Hart hit a three against the Raptors, and he kind of like slid back and fell against the Raptors bench, he pointed at all of them and hit them with finger guns. Like it was, it was fucking hilarious. Yeah, they threw a towel in his face. Yeah, just amazing. I absolutely loved it. I mean, he was pointing at Brandon Ingram was on the bench there, like he knows these guys, they're his friends, but just the finger guns for a prolonged time too. And he really got into it. You could tell he was making sound effects. I hate the New York Knicks, but I'm a big fan of Josh Hart. And then last but 100% not least, man, the other night, I didn't watch this game. I might have to catch the replay. Con and Cooper, the two leaders for Rookie of the Year, had a battle. So Charlotte won this game, so I'll give Con the headliner here. In the win against the Mavericks, Con Knippel had 34 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 0 turnovers. He was 10 of 16 from the field, 8 of 12 from 3, 6 of 6 free throws. He was a +7. LaMelo Ball was 22, 3, 9, and 1. I mean, yeah, just a great game by them. And it's crazy because the game winner of this was Cooper taking an attempt, but Cooper had the ball in his hands, and Con deflected the ball off a pass and drives to the basket for the win. And it ended up being a wedgie too. Cooper almost blocked the Con score, but wedgied it, and that's how they won the game. But that's not to take anything away from Cooper, because Cooper was insane. At 19 years old, he's 19 years old and 39 days old. He is the youngest player in NBA history to score 45 plus points. He had 49, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 20 of 29 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 6 of 6 free throws. He took 29 shots, man. This guy is a superstar in the making. It is incredible that these two young players who played on the same college team are now both just lighting up the league. And I think obviously the ceiling is way higher with Cooper, but Con is no joke, man. Con is no joke. Both of them just really, really fun, exciting players to watch. Definitely the Charlotte Hornets, low-key, kind of good when LaMelo Ball, Con Knippel, and Brandon Miller all play together. They got one with that. But burnouts, that's all for today. I appreciate you all listening. For Fired Up and Burnt Out, I will say, just in general, I'm fired up about this weather. It's been cold in Miami. I know the rest of the country had really bad snow. We don't get that here. I mean, I think there is some snow happening probably in parts of northern Florida, but it's just been really cold here for Miami standards. It's been like a few days in the 40s. I think it's going to be in the 30s in the next couple of days. So I'm excited about that. I love cold weather, and we don't get it often. So very fired up about that. Burnt out. I'm burnt out by constantly refreshing my feed to see if Giannis has been traded to the Heat. I'm trying to stop. Trying to stop. I'm hoping I can be better. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you all next time.